Alright guys, so today's video we're doing a Golden Eagle SR25. I've already taken it apart, however I did get a baseline FPS for this thing. I'll show you that in a little bit. Currently have the gearbox out of it, and here it is. I started taking it apart and I was like, oh shit, I need to make a video of this because I want to let people know that do not get this Golden Eagle SR25, mainly because it uses a traditional length cylinder. So the whole purpose of getting the SR25 in the first place is for its elongated cylinder. It gives you that air volume ratio advantage, so you can use heavier BBs more effectively, like 0.40s and 45s, etc. But in this video, I'm going to go and take this thing apart, show you the parts inside. That's what you can expect out of these Golden Eagles. And then we're going to throw some upgrades on it to make it a bit better, because the chrono results from the baseline isn't all that impressive. One thing I will note right off the bat is that you can't just swap out the gearbox with this receiver. The rear pin here lines up differently than the other SR25 gearboxes, like the SEMA Platinum. The retro arms definitely doesn't fit, all because this hole is in a different spot on the gearbox, so they don't line up. So the gearbox is like pretty much tilted in one way or the other. The holes just don't line up, so you can't swap out the gearbox. Okay, so before I take this thing completely apart, just want to show you the outside of the gearbox. It uses these bearings here, and right off the bat, just keep in mind, this is brand new. This bearing's already failing. You can see that the axle's off to the side a little bit, indicating that the gears are going to be slanted, so they're not going to wear very well, and it's going to make the gun noisy right out of the box, so that's a little disappointment. It does have a MOSFET. It's in line, works just fine. I had no issues with it cycling with 11.1 LiPo. And then a gross Tamiya. I hate Tamiyas because they're the most unreliable connectors in the world. Voila, gearbox is open. So for starters, piston itself ain't bad. It's just a regular piston, full metal rack. In the inside, I was kind of impressed with how rigid that the inside is. So, but I wouldn't trust that. I have no idea how well this rack can handle how much, whatever FPS this thing is going to be put at. Like for example, if you want to upgrade this thing to 550 FPS for like Milsim West or whatever, I would not trust that metal rack from not cracking. And even then, you'd still have to pull it out and do some AOE correction modification to the piston. Here's the regular length cylinder, and here's this weird ass, which totally understand, cylinder head. I mean, look at that. You can see how it sits in here, just like that. I'm gonna take that off. So I guess you could mill out this gearbox and mill it out to right here and make it fit a elongated cylinder, because the tappet plate is elongated. I mean, look how long that sucker is. That's SR25 length right there. Spring guide's nothing to write home about. And then, yeah, the spring's like literally stuck on the spring guide. Oh, okay, never mind. So looking at the gears, your typical molded injection gear set with nasty ass grease on here. I mean, look how bad they greased it. It's so nasty. This is stock. This is brand new out of the box. And yummy. And you can look inside the gearbox there. And it's piled up all alongside here as well. There you go. So there's the gears, and then there's nothing much to show here because it's just a traditional trigger setup for M4 platform. So I'm gonna do some thinking here. At least this cylinder is double O-ringed, but I don't know if I'm gonna go through the trouble of modifying this gearbox to fit an elongated cylinder, because time is money, and I run a business here at Wyshtech, and I do a lot of tech works. But I'm gonna go find the Airsoft performance sheet for this thing, and we can go over what the baseline was. Okay, so here's the sheet. So minimum on semi, it got 365, max was 368, with an average of 367. Spread isn't too bad. And then on full auto, it stayed relatively the same. I mean, the spread was pretty damn good. So, and it shot 19 rounds a second, which you don't need an SR25 to shoot that fast unless you really want the trigger response. All right, guys, I'm gonna show you how bad these bearings are. Not supposed to do that at all. That little wobbling, that inner race is wobbling around, and it's even worse than this one. Brand new gun. Yeah. Oh, and these are 7mm bushings. And here's the motor that was in this guy. Nothing special about it whatsoever. Alrighty, time to go over the parts. First things first, just to let you guys know, these are the only parts that I'm reusing. The cylinder head, the cylinder, and the tappet plate. Hopefully it doesn't break, which I doubt it will. And now onto the upgrades. I'm going to be upgrading to a much stronger return spring because this Bugatti 24.5 millimeter nozzle is slightly longer from stock. So moving on, the spring that we're going to be putting in is M130. I believe this is going to get it close to 1.9 joules. I want to stay just underneath that for field regulation reasons. We got this used Pro-In Hopup with a Umbrella Armory Hopup arm that we're going to put in this guy. And then I found this ball bearing spring guide in my bin that we're going to use. And I've already test fitted in the gearbox. It fits just fine. An SHS POM piston head. We're going to put a retro arms piston in this thing. Prometheus 7mm bearings. I have yet to see one of these fail, so that's why we're using these. 18:1 gear ratio. We're going to avoid as much as possible short stroking. This thing shouldn't cycle that fast. Motor of choice is a 35K G&G Titan motor with a motor tower. It's 9.5mm thick, so it fits in the hole of this gearbox damn near perfectly. So it should reduce the amount of gear whine as this gun cycles. Then we're using a pinion gear off of a ASG motor, and it meshes really well with these rocket gears. And then we're going to put an electronic trigger unit, and the electronic trigger unit of choice is version 2 hybrid from Perun. I really like these MOSFETs. They work great. I've never had an issue with these. I've installed hundreds of them. I think it's going to pair really well with this setup. If you guys are interested in any of these parts after this build is complete, I'll put links to these parts down in the description below, or you can visit Wyshtech.com, where you'll find all these parts plus BBs and any other supplies that you may need. So with that out of the way, get these parts in. Okay, so got the gearbox radius, the new bearings, nice and glued in. They're solid as a rock in there. And now I'm getting ready to shim. And I also trimmed a little bit of metal right here, because when I did a test fit with the pay run, it was rocking a little bit, and it was because there was some leftover metal that was sticking up high enough to cause that issue. Alright, got the motor shim beveled the pinion, and I got the rest of the gears shimmed to each other, and look how smooth this is. Real smooth, barely hear the gears. I'm going to move on to the next part. Okay, so now we're on the cylinder set, and I went ahead and put a servo pad from Bugatti on here. I absolutely love these things. They don't wear out, they're very strong, squishy, and it helps make the gun shoot quieter when it comes to the piston release. And this is what the piston looks like. I don't need any area engagement washer here, because I'll show you in just a bit of to why. Okay, to show you guys the area engagement. I'm trying to hold this the best way I can, but you can see that it lines up pretty good. Nice, even, flat contact between the two teeth on the piston and the sector gear. And before we settle with that setup for the compression set, I'm going to spin the sector gear. It's already making contact with the piston, and I'm going to get a feel for how that gear feels between the gear itself as well as the piston. Alright, I'm going to do this one-handed. I'm using my pick, and so far feels really smooth. Now when I'm doing that, the thing I'm checking for is to see if there's any rough meshing going on, or if it locks up when it goes to release the piston, and none of that happens, so we're good to go. This is a good thing to do if you're trying a completely different aftermarket piston and gear set. You want to make sure that both mesh well with each other. I have found in some cases that piston meshes really hard on the sector gear, and it causes it to like notch when I go to spin that gear, and that's not good, and it will cause your amp draw to go skyrocketing and make your bearings go breaky. Okay, I'm actually holding the phone against my desk and so I can do this compression test for you guys. Got the nozzle on, and I'm using the tap plate to hold it forward as if it's gonna shoot. And here we go. I am pushing pretty damn hard. Good compression. Now we just gotta get Hopup together and see how well it compresses from the piston to the end of the barrel. Okay, so this is going to be our barrel setup, and we're going to put a maple leaf bucking in this guy, and the barrel of choice is the Prometheus 363mm barrel, so 3 stainless steel. These are pretty good middle ground barrels. They run usually about $65, but this is the exact size for fitment on this SR25. So I'm gonna get this together, and I'm gonna see how well that nozzle that we put on that cylinder head fits with this Hopup unit. Okay, since we're putting an aftermarket Hopup unit, I threw the gearbox together with just the sector gear and the compression set minus the piston, and I already cycled the sector gear all the way around to pull back that nozzle as far as it'll possibly go. And the reason why I'm doing this is to see if it will feed and checking to see if the nozzle is too long or not. So what I'm doing here is I got the barrel propped as parallel to the table as possible without it leaning. And I'm gonna bring it up to the nozzle here, flat up against the gearbox, just like that. And then I'm gonna see if a BB will drop straight down into the chamber. And it did, so we're good there. And another check I'm gonna do, all I have to do is take out the gearbox shell. And then what I'm gonna do is bring the Hopup towards the nozzle where that flange right there in front of my fingernail. I'm gonna bring it all the way up against the gearbox because that's what's gonna happen when it's all together. And make sure my tappet plate's all the way forward. I'll push it in and see how far back the tappet plate goes. Okay, so that gap right there is quite a bit, but I think it'll be fine because that's usually what I see on these SR25s. So we should be good to go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and throw the piston back into the cylinder, and then I'm going to test compression between the piston head and out the end of the barrel to see if there's any leaks. Real quick guys, on the Hopup and barrel assembly, I lost the footage from doing a compression test from the piston head to out the barrel. So on this cut here, I wanted to show you what I've done. Ended up modifying a Max Pro Hopup dial and putting it on the Pro Win Hopup so that whoever ends up owning this rifle will have number system on their dial. And it's made out of aluminum, so it's more rigidity for you. And the compression from the piston head to out the barrel is like perfect. Wait till you see the chrono. Okay, so the BBs that we're testing with today are these exact 2.0s. We sell this on Wyshtech.com. Already got the magazine loaded. Battery plugged in. Now let's chrono. Alright, here we are. Ready to go. Okay, we're going to do 10 shots in semi-auto. Here we go. Not bad. The FPS variance could be tighter than that, but that's because we're using 2.0s. This thing is over volumed, so that's gonna happen. All right, here's full auto. Hell yeah, that's a huge improvement. Okay, so we're switching over to 4.0s to test with, and I'm dropping down to a 7.4 volt battery, mainly because when I use 4.0s with this barrel length, it actually air brakes the piston enough to cause premature engagement. So by using the 7.4, it slows down the cycling a little bit to give that piston a chance to hit the rest position so the PME does not happen. That being said, let's chrono. Alright, here we go with 40 gram BBs. Pretty damn consistent if you ask me. Right there, 1.49 joules with 0.4 gram BBs. Staying pretty consistent, which means that this gun shoots better with 0.4s, and it's going to shoot further and more accurately. Which is what I was trying to do with this SR25. I got some results to share with you guys, so bear with me. Okay. So here's my Airsoft performance sheet. This is what it got before I did any of these upgrades. I'll give you a moment to pause and check out some of that FPS consistencies and whatnot. This is what it got on after tune-up. And by the way, again, this is with 0.2 gram BBs. So with the minimum, max, and average for both semi and full auto, this is what it got. We got a pretty big increase. And this is the rate of fire that it got with a 11.1 LiPo. And with the 7.4, I went ahead and just tested that just in case the future customer of this rifle, which we're selling at our store, decides to use 0.4s, which I'm going to only recommend them to use a 7.4 LiPo if they plan on using 0.4 gram BBs. Although I did put in the pre-cocking on this guy at the best possible setting, and I saw no difference between the trigger response in the 7.4 and 11.1. Unless they absolutely want to use 11.1, then they're limited to 3.2s because of the air braking of the 4.0s. But anyways, if you guys like this video and enjoyed this build, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys, and stay safe. Bye.